Finally, the virtual power shop is here, guys. Are you feeling stuck, insecure, or maybe second guessing some choices in life? Visit thevirtualpowershop.com to enroll in your 22 module course. It's self-paced and available on your terms. What's your well-being worth? Act now for a limited time offer. It's half off the regular $299 price. Your personalized journey is available for only $149. Step into a brighter, empowered future. Thevirtualpowershop.com. Get unstuck. I'm Alma Lee. I'm a psychotherapist and transformative lifestyle resiliency coach and author, and I want to help you reach your goals by teaching you how to step outside of those fear-based mindsets and into your powerful, loving self. Let's get started. You're always going to have haters. Yeah, let's just jump right in, right? You are always going to have people who want to see you fail. Number one. The moment that you can accept that as that's just life, you will have 50% of everything that I want to share with you today covered. That thing, that expectation of being liked by everybody all the time, if you can just let go of that and just be okay with the fact that there's just always going to be, you're always going to have somebody that wants to see you fail. You're always going to have people in the background that are going to want to project all of their BS on you. It's okay. Let go of it. Don't worry about it. It's not your deal. The other people's opinions of you, it's none of your business. I've said it before. You're always going to have a hater. You're always going to have haters. Do your best. You're always going to have somebody that's going to try and bring you down. Somebody's going to judge you. Somebody that's going to be a frenemy. Somebody that is going to be nice to you and try to get close to you, and their vibe is off. And then you question yourself. It's almost like you gaslight yourself because this person is so nice in their word, and maybe in their deed, but their vibe is off. Like you don't fully trust them. Trust that. Trust your intuition. Your intuition will never lie. And a hater is always going to be a hater. There's no two ways about it. A person who is always going to try and pull you down, that's just who they are. Accept it, move on, enforce a boundary. Next slide, right? That's half of this. That's half of the topic today is acceptance that you cannot affect how some people choose to see you. And you shouldn't. How much is your energy worth? How much is the quality of your life worth to you? Ask that question. Think about the amount of energy you've wasted. I know I have. How much of your energy have you wasted in your life in trying to affect change in how other people see you? And that's what I want to talk about today. Your energy, your life, the quality of your life, how you move through life intentionally and with intentionality, and how you direct your energy and what you focus on and what you prioritize. All of that. It's got to be rooted in liking yourself first. It cannot be rooted in the expectation of approval from other people. Now, it's nice. Everybody likes to be liked. Come on now. Of course we do. We love external validation. That's part of being a human. We love the gratification of knowing that what we're doing and how we live our lives, how we look, how we're sort of just moving through life and sharing our energy and sharing our interests, if you will, how that is affecting other people in a positive way. We love that. That's great. We love it. It's wonderful. It is absolutely not a necessity. I think most of us have been there, if not currently. I want to help you address some things, and if nothing else, be sort of a mentor and someone who inspires you to change into a healthier version of yourself so that you can get back that energy. And when you get that energy back, guess what happens? You're empowered. You become more empowered in yourself, because the moment that you stop caring about the things that you cannot control, then you can put that energy into things that you can control, right? Isn't that lovely to think about? And a lot of times we feel like it's just, oh, I can't do it, Alma. It's too hard. It's such an old habit. And I just can't imagine my life being in a space where I don't care about being liked. I have to be liked. It's my bread and butter. It's how I move through life. I can't imagine living my life any differently than that. Well, you can. I mean, maybe you can't imagine it, but you can. You can. You don't need it. You don't need other people's approval, because here's the thing. When you approve of yourself, it's not going to matter whether or not people approve of you, because when you approve of yourself, the right people will naturally get on board. The right people in your circle, your tribe, your real friends, the people who genuinely want to see you succeed in life, those are the ones that are going to approve of you, and they're the only people that really matter anyway. And this whole entire transition, if you go through life and you say, you know what, I want to actively engage in thinking differently about my life, I'm going to stop giving a crap about trying to please everybody all the time. I'm literally going to be actively engaged in pulling my energy back. Ugh, it's so uncomfortable. But watch what happens. Watch what happens when you go to work and, you know, that guy that makes you uncomfortable, that's always making the side comments, you know, and you always just smile at him to keep him at arm's length because you don't want any more creepy comments. Imagine not smiling at him and then seeing how he responds. Because you know subconsciously that when you change your energy with these people, you pull back your power, you stop allowing yourself to be manipulated by their need to control you in some fashion, by withholding that validation, because that's all it is. It's withholding validation when they don't like you. You give them your power. You give your power away at every turn. Now, how did you get that way? How did you become this person that goes through life and feels completely wiped out at the end of your workday? You leave work, and then when you get home, you don't have anything left over for your family because everything that you had, you gave away at work because you need them to approve of you. When you go home, you know that you're approved of at home because you're needed there. And so you don't have any more energy to give the people that are closest to you that probably deserve it the most. In fact, I'm sure of it. I'm sure that your family, your spouse, your children, they're the ones that need you to be present for them the most, but yet you're exhausted when you get home from work, right? Does that sound familiar to you? Well, I want to encourage you to shift your thinking about this a little bit. Let me ask you a question. What happens, now hear me out, what happens if somebody doesn't like you? What happens to you, rather? What happens to you if somebody doesn't like you? Now think about that. Now everybody's answer might be a little bit different, and that's okay. But if you consider the outcome of what happens, I think you'll understand how you can best unpack some of these maladaptive behaviors that you've sort of, muscle memoried your way into from your childhood. Think about it. What's the outcome? If somebody doesn't approve of you, then what? Do you struggle with approving of yourself? Do you have to have that external validation in order to feel okay about who you are? It's okay if that's the way you feel. Listen, this is not a blame game. This is not about judging you. This is about helping you isolate those features of your personality that are causing you to stay stuck in life, that are causing you to make poor choices, and that are causing you to eke through life in a fearful space. This is about taking your power back. This is about saying, I'm just not going to waste my life. I'm not going to waste my energy anymore. Does that interest you? I know it may seem like a daunting task or something that is overwhelming that you can't attain, but I assure you that you can. If I can do it, I know you can do it. I was, a young woman in my 20s that was, so incredibly fearful of not being liked. I wanted everybody to like me, especially guys. I needed that gratification. Woo, buddy. I needed it. It had to happen. And if it didn't, I became very angry and very distraught, depressed even, if I didn't get that external validation. Here's the truth of it, right? You don't have to be. You don't have to be liked by anybody else. What you have to have is you have to approve of yourself. And if you don't believe that you can be approved by yourself, then that's rooted in your childhood. That's a cognition. That's a belief set. Most of the time, when people show up as adults who are overly available people pleasers, who have to have that external validation in being liked by everybody, that go through life, they smile at everybody, they just drain themselves, codependent, they get their identity comes from the relationship that they have with other people, because they don't have the ability to do it for themselves. They don't feel like they have a right to because of the conditions that they existed in as children. So think about it this way. When you're a little kid, let's go back to the childhood. Think about this. You see if this connects with you, right? When you're a little kid and you think about how you were raised, and were you, fearful of abandonment? Were you left alone a lot? Were you treated poorly or maybe even abused? But even those of us, and this is the sneaky part, right? If you were a child and you feel like, well, Alma, I wasn't abused. I had a great life. I never starved. My parents were always there. Yeah, but were they? Were you always available? Were they always available to you emotionally speaking? Or were you maybe put into a lot of activities? Were you given a lot of things to do, a lot of obligations, but no real support? Were you heard? Were you listened to? Was there anybody in your life as a child that made you feel important and seen? See, that's the catch right there, is that when we're little kids and we don't have the safety of mirroring with a safe caregiver, then we automatically, and it's called egocentrism, but it's that point of development where the child merely just sees everything as the result of the self, meaning everything that's a condition, everything that I feel bad about as a little kid is because I'm bad. So if I exist in something that feels bad, it must be because I am bad. And because I am bad, I have to find other people to remind me that I'm okay. Because I'm bad. I'm convinced. I have the cognition that I'm bad because I was never reassured that I'm actually good. So that's the breaking point right there. As an adult, you can affirm that you're actually okay. You can affirm that you're a good person. You can actually reprogram those old cognitions. You can reprogram yourself. It's just like a computer program, basically. You can go in and start effectively changing the way you see yourself with a few items here I listed here in my handy dandy notebook that can help you break that cycle if you're interested. Now, I want to give you these tips, but I want to ask you a question first before I do that. And I want you, if you're driving, don't do this. Do this exercise when you're not behind the wheel of a car or operating heavy machinery or doing something that could actually get you harmed if you close your eyes. But if you are somewhere where you can safely close your eyes, I want to ask you to quickly engage in just this quick little scenario, because I want to show you something about yourself. This is a handy little exercise. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that you're sitting in your car and you're in the parking lot of your favorite place where you like to shop. It doesn't matter what, a grocery store or hardware, retail, whatever. You got it? You're sitting in your car and you're in the parking lot of your favorite store. Okay. All right. So imagine in this scenario, don't actually open your eyes yet, but in this scenario, I want you to look in the rear view mirror. And in the rear view mirror, looking back at you is the most beautiful, most handsome version of yourself you've ever seen in your life. I mean, you are rock solid today. You are an absolute beast. You are a rock star. Your eye makeup, your chiseled goatee, you shaved perfectly, your skin is clear, your eyes are bright. You're looking back at yourself in the reflection and you're like, oh my God, I have never in my life looked this beautiful, gorgeous, handsome. I am absolutely on fire today. I can't stand it. I am so gorgeous. I know. Come on now, work with me. So imagine in this scenario, you got to go in the store, right? But you can't get enough of yourself. So you hop out of your car, you lock it up, and you take your phone out. Now, there's other people walking around. They've got their carts and their kids and, screaming kids and whatnot. Everybody's milling about, taking care of their business. And you're like, God, I am so amazing. I can't get over this. This is amazing today. You pull out your phone, you turn it on video, and you hold it up to your face like you're taking a selfie, like a selfie video. And you want to video yourself in public inside this store. And you start doing that. And as you're doing that and you walk in the store and you're being careful, you're making sure that you're not tripping on people and things in the curb as you walk inside the store. And you're doing that and you're smiling at yourself in the camera and you're looking around, looking at which part of the store you want to shop in. And people are looking at you, right? And they're looking at each other and they're kind of whispering at each other like, who the heck is this person? Who do they think they are? What are they? God, they're so full of themselves. Ugh. That's just, why do people do that? Blah, blah, blah. And you can just hear people chattering in the background because they see you and you can sense their disapproval, right? Can you imagine doing that? You can open your eyes now. Can you imagine doing that? What does that feel like to imagine doing that? What does it feel like to you to imagine being in this public environment and people are openly disapproving of you? I mean, it's different for everybody, right? But I think that this is a good sort of barometer for you to understand how impactful it is for you to be liked. Because if it feels like that is just an absolute nope, can't do it, it's too much, it's a daunting task, that is probably more of a reason for you to engage in these steps that I'm going to share with you. All right? Here we go. You can break the cycle with some of these steps. So the first one is you want to hypothesize. All right? What do I mean by that? Well, what would happen if people don't like you? Imagine, you go to work, you go to that social event, and when you go in there, imagine what would happen if you're in that climate and you realize that no one there approves of you. What would happen? Now, for me, because I feel like I'm a few steps ahead of this and I know how I feel in certain settings, I'm intolerant to that. Now, that's Alma. That's where I'm at, and I'm not trying to kind of force you into that, but for me, if I go into a social setting or if I'm working in a job or an environment where I know for a fact that I am unwelcome, or I'm welcome to the point of how I'm judged, meaning they like having me there because they can talk about me, they can bully me, and they see me as somebody that's easy to hate on, I'm not staying. Listen, you do you, boo-boo. I'm not interested in it. I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to protect my energy. Access to me is a privilege. And if you can't see that privilege, deuces, I'm out. I'm going to keep it moving, and that's okay. And I'm not going to judge the situation, but I'm not going to stay where I am unwelcome. And I think that holds true in a lot of the scenarios that we sort of encapsulate ourselves in unwittingly. Relationships, jobs, things where we feel like we've got to constantly fight to be approved of. And in reality, all we're doing is we're abandoning ourselves at every turn. So hypothesize, ask yourself, what would happen if I'm not liked? And then judge yourself based upon, those conditions and whether or not you can change it up. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, you're always going to have haters. Why are you going to stay in an environment where you're hated on? I know I'm not. I don't have time for it. My life is too valuable. My energy is too precious to me. And I encourage you to take on that notion as well and to stand in your own power. And it's going to feel weird. It's weird because it's counterintuitive. Your whole life, you've been a people pleaser. Your whole life, you've needed other people to give you that external validation in order for you to feel okay about yourself. It's okay. Change is good. Comfort is the enemy to growth. So when you're uncomfortable, you're growing. You're growing. Okay, so that's the first one. And the second step is imagine what it feels like to love yourself without that external validation. Oof, I know. It just keeps getting harder, doesn't it? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Now, see, that whole scenario of the metaphor, that little scenario, that little fantasy of sitting in your car at your favorite store where you're looking in the rearview mirror, you can do that for yourself at any time. You can suspend your disbelief. You can stop that whole narrative of I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, I can't love myself. Yes, you absolutely can. And you're the only one stopping yourself from being successful in loving yourself fully. You're just deeply rooted in the program that, for whatever reason, it's just not right. That's selfish. That's wrong. No, you need to love yourself. You need to look in that rear view mirror or whatever mirror and say, gosh, you're beautiful. Even if you don't believe it. Even if you don't believe it. What does that feel like? To say, you're so beautiful and you're absolutely perfectly acceptable the way you are. There's no reason that you don't deserve being approved of. But you have to approve of you, you see. It doesn't matter whether or not other people approve of you. It matters that you approve of you, because when you approve of you, then you start making decisions based upon that. You start enforcing those boundaries. You start saying no when people try to manipulate you or use you or access you so that they can hate on you, so that they can get their needs met in a weird, dysfunctional, toxic way, so that they can keep you around because they're emotional parasites and vampires, and they love the fact that you're a people pleaser and you give them that boost, and so there's that quid pro quo of negative energy that you get stuck in. Nobody needs that. Life is just way too valuable to get stuck in that loop. You deserve better. And maybe you don't believe that, but I do. And I'm here to encourage you and tell you that you can make a change. You can change the way you see yourself. I know if I can do it, you can. It's funny because I get on this podcast, I get on social media, and I'll make a whimsical, tongue-in-cheek kind of self-love post, and I know people look at me sideways because a lot of times when I make those posts, it makes people uncomfortable because they look at me in judgment because they can't do it for themselves. And in reality, the reason why I do it, 1, is because I want to and I believe it, and 3, because I want people to follow suit, because I'm no different than you. I'm literally no different than you. I'm just making some different moves. 100%. That's it. That's it. And I'm sharing that with you because you can do all of this yourself as well. So, number 3, positive affirmations. Positive affirmations. Absolutely. Self-deprecation is no longer allowed. When you adapt and adopt a new mindset of self-love and just liking yourself, and you stop the negative self-hate talk, that is going to start to change things a lot. When you refuse to allow yourself to be negative when you talk about yourself, then you don't leave the door open to your energy. Because when you say, oh God, I'm so stupid, I'm dumb, I'm fat, I'm this, I'm that, whatever negative pejorative term of the day that you subscribe to, when you stop that, you lock that door. And not only do you lock the door against yourself and the negativity, but you prevent other people from doing it. It's more noticeable. When you don't allow yourself to see yourself a certain negative way, it is like a magnifying glass when other people do. You can't ignore it anymore because you're like, hold up, wait a minute. I don't talk about myself like that. Why the hell am I going to tolerate you doing that? And so everything's going to start to shift. You're going to start to notice it. And big changes come from this. Don't get me wrong. It's wildly disruptive in your life, but in a good way. So you just kind of got to ride that wave out and let the changes happen. Let the evolution happen. Comfort is the enemy to growth. You're going to be uncomfortable, and it's okay. All right. So the last little note here. You have to stop judging others. Yep, I know. I said it. We do it as a protective measure because we're so stuck, right? We cannot love ourselves fully, and we think we can't. We think we can't love and like ourselves fully. That protective measurement comes from judging other people for doing that. So we essentially are magnifying that whole loop of negativity that we get stuck in our social conditions, the people that we interact with and the social settings we go to. We might see somebody who is wearing clothing that we wouldn't wear, or is, carrying their body weight a certain way that we don't approve of, or they look a certain way, whatever. It is required of you to not only love and like yourself in this process, but you must accept others as well. And so it's a process. It's a practice. You must be gentle. You must be accepting of yourself first. You must make these changes. And you must be okay when you catch yourself self-deprecating. You can't self-deprecate. You can't say, I did it again. I'm so stupid. This, that, and the other. Nope, you can't do that either. You have to approve of yourself. You got to be gentle with yourself. You got to be loving with yourself. You have to accept yourself. And you have to know you can get out of that old program and you can do better for yourself. And you can realize, turn around one day, that it's okay that other people may not fully like you. But you know what? You learn how to like yourself. All right. From fear to love. This has been an LBM production. Please like, subscribe, and share this show. Thanks for listening. Finally, the Virtual Power Shop is here, guys. Are you feeling stuck, insecure, or maybe second-guessing some choices in life? Visit thevirtualpowershop.com to enroll in your 22-module course. It's self-paced and available on your terms. What's your well-being worth? Act now for a limited-time offer. It's half off the regular $299 price. Your personalized journey is available for only $149. Step into a brighter, empowered future. Thevirtualpowershop.com. Get unstuck.